Welcome. My name is Sally Jablonski, owner of Herbert Berg Florist. Welcome back to my little studio here. We're getting ready for Mother's Day and lots of flowers are coming in. But this year, well, of course the year is a little bit different with the pandemic. This year you're going to have to be a little bit more patient with what flowers are available because a lot of growers went out of business last year when a lot of their flowers are dumped. So when you're ordering or you're getting something for Mother's Day, just understand that a lot of the colors and different things aren't available in huge quantity this year. And if you are ordering for Mother's Day, I do suggest you order early because everybody is going to be bombarded. So what we're going to be doing today is just a nice basket arrangement for mom or significant other or something, or celebrating spring. And what we're doing, and I just picked a nice basket, and baskets are in short supply this year. So if you're getting baskets and you want to recycle them, you want to bring them in, you want to recycle your vases, we will give you a free bouquet. So just remember, you don't have to throw these things out. We will take them back. I do have Oasis in here. I have 2 blocks. It makes it a little bit heavy. Remember, I've told you to soak it. Make sure it gets soaked for, a good half hour or so, so all the water goes in between the foam. I have a liner in the basket. Anytime you're using baskets, you got to make sure there's a liner that's certainly going to hold the foam and the water so it doesn't get on your table. So what we're going to do, we have our leather fern, the same greens that we've been using in class. Hopefully we'll be back to class soon, some in-person classes. And what I'm going to do is what we call greening. We make sure there's about 1 inch or so that goes into the foam. And I'm just going around the basket and just lightly putting some greens in. And I'm not going to make this a whole arrangement of greens, just enough to get started. So here we are. Again, I'm using my knife. You can use clippers if you want. I'm just used to using a knife. So there's our beginning. There's our basket arrangement. I have some lilies. I have some carnations, some things that we're going to mix up and make a nice arrangement. Might be the first time you're seeing your mom. I know the vaccines are starting to roll out, so hopefully it's the beginning of a better year. So I have that in there, and again, I do have some tulips. And anytime that you're starting with the spring flowers, make sure you put those stems in first. Tulips will be going out of season shortly, probably in the next couple of weeks. So what we're going to do, and remember too that tulips grow in your arrangement and they also move with the light. So wherever you put them now, that's going to be different the next day. These will be straight up by tomorrow. So I'm just putting some tulips in because I'm doing an all-around basket. I'm cutting on an angle and I'm using my fingers to make sure it goes right into the foam. And I'm going to make sure these tulips are a little bit shorter than the other flowers, because like I say, they do grow in the foam. And I'm going to start with 2, 4, 6 tulips. And remember, if you're going to have tulips in your spring gardening, these are things that need to be planted in the fall. So that's when the bulbs start coming out. Or if you've got any tulips for any of the spring holiday plants, you can let them die back and plant the bulbs in the summer, and they will come back the following year. So actually, I think we're going to put them all in. So I have the outside is all tulips. We're going to use some of the Stargazer Lilies. These are very fragrant, so if you're ordering these, just make sure somebody doesn't have allergies. And they also, for anybody that has cats, lilies are poisonous to cats, so just be careful of that. I am going to pull the pollen out so it doesn't stain your table. And anytime the buds start to open, pull the pollen out. So I'm going to use these kind of as my focal flowers, one on either side, and they have buds. I'm going to let the buds stay. And I'm going to make sure they're in a good 2 inches. So now we have the form of our arrangement. Now if you do get lily pollen, and I can see a little bit here, take a pipe cleaner and brush it off gently. If you use your hands, you'll stain the flowers. And it's just like the bees that are pollinating the flowers. The pollen will come off and not leave a stain. So always have some pipe cleaners. And another little thing for your toolbox to add as we're going along is make sure you have some pipe cleaners. You can get them at the dollar store. You can get them at Michael's. They just come in a box. They're very inexpensive. So I do want to use some hydrangeas in here. The word hydrangea means water. So whether you plant them or use them as cut flowers, they like a lot of water. So once we're done, we're going to add quite a bit of water to this basket. And we're going to make sure they are in real deep, and then we're going to make sure there's a lot of water in the basket every day. A very popular flower right now. We use them a lot, but you have to make sure they're hydrated. And if you plant them outside when it gets really, really hot and they start to wilt down, you got to make sure you're watering them every day, especially when it gets really, really hot. So there's our hydrangeas. That's kind of our form flower, our circle flower. We have our lilies. These are tulips, are kind of our filler. We're going to add some pink. Seems to be the favorite color for Mother's Day. But I mean, you know your mom if she doesn't like pink. You know, she likes sunflowers or something like that. Just you make sure when you're ordering, you get an idea of what people will like. I know my mom's not a pink person, so this isn't an arrangement that I would send to her. I would send her something that was a little bit more different. But every mom is different, so we got to know your mom or the occasion. So I'm taking some of the petals off, some of the outside petals off the roses, some of the guard petals. You can save them for potpourri. We use a lot of rose petals for weddings and use them for their aisles. And we're just putting them in between the holes. And making sure we're staying within this shape of the basket. So, you know, this is kind of what I'm envisioning, that we're staying within the size of the basket. As I'm adding flowers, it looks like I need to add a little bit more greens on the edge. So we're going to add a few more leather ferns to the edge. And then we're going to add some taller flowers. We want this to look like a nice garden type basket. These are bells of Ireland. We use these a lot in arrangements, and these actually happen to be flowers. So we're going to place these in the middle. And just so it gives it more of an open and airy look, maybe like something you just picked out of the garden, as of being formal and stiff. So a little bit of green with the pink, you know, softens up the pink a little bit. We have some Liatris. This is a perennial that you can grow in your garden. It's one of the only flowers that blooms from the top down. So when you're planting your gardens and you want to have a cutting garden, these are some good plants to plant. And I'm going to take off some of the leaves here so it's not so straggly. And again, I'm going to use these up top. and I'm gonna make them, because it's a nice long line of flower. I'm not gonna cut these short. I'm gonna keep them nice and tall. And I keep them in the middle, so you kind of get the feeling of the arrangement going out like that. We have some nice magenta color carnations. Like I said, carnations come in a lot of colors. And if they happen to be tight, just use your hand a little bit to fluff them open. And we're going to put, so visually we have a lot of pink, a little bit of purple here to tie in that purple here. We're going to add a little bit of the purple to the bottom. And again, I'm going to evenly distribute, so we have one in the front, one in the back, one on the side. I'm going to put one to this other side, and we have one left. So I'm going to place it right above my hydrangea. So, and then I'm going to turn it around, so you can kind of, as you can see from, pick that up a little bit to see where we're at. And as I can see that I need to add a little bit more here to the back. I'm going to add a little bit more greens. And I see we still have another lily. And if this is sitting on the table, there's not a lot here in the back. So what I'm going to do is, in between my two hydrangeas, I'm going to add my lily. And I just changed the way the rose was placed. So I'm gonna move that over here. So like if this is sitting on a buffet table or something like that, that either side, it doesn't matter which side that you put it at. So I'm going to add a few more greens to it. And again, this is in the pinks and purples, a little bit of green for accent. Here's some Tricilium. I'm going to kind of use this as baby's breath. We're not going to be using baby's breath in this arrangement, but I'm going to fill in some of the holes with it. It's nice and fluffy. It's a nice green. I think it will really pick up the purples and just make the colors pop a little bit more. So I'm adding the green, and what I'm doing within the shape is I'm finding holes, so we're not making it like it's all crunched up. We're putting the green in, fill in the holes. Just so you know, when you add these different types of flowers, the different textures, the different colors, the arrangement becomes a little bit more interesting. And I think sometimes carnations get a bad rap because they were just overdone. But there's a lot of different colors coming out nowadays. So I suggest you take a look at them. There's some beautiful greens. There's different shades of pink, peaches. There's some wonderful burgundies. So when you're looking at flowers, I mean, do look at the carnations because they do have a nice range of color. Oh, and we do, okay, we have a couple more purple carnations, so we can add some here to the back. Add a couple more in here. So we evenly distribute the purple around the basket, and we have a little bit of purple status here. This is a wonderful flower if you want to use it for dried flowers. It almost feels dried. And if afterwards you want to make a wreath or something like that, you can save these, and these dry very nicely. And you can use these in potpourri or dried wreaths. Dry flowers are starting to come back. We're starting to see a lot more than we have in the past 10 years. So if you're planting a garden and you want something for dried flowers, the Status is good. Artemisia is good. Straw flowers are good. Those are all flowers that will dry with their color, and you don't have to freeze dry them. So for our filler flower, we're adding a little bit of the Status. And I'm kind of keeping it low on the bottom. I don't kind of section the colors out a little bit. And we pretty much used everything that was in our little basket here. And again, so there's our arrangement. See, that's the front. This is the back. We added some lilies, we added some roses, some carnations. And, you know, just to recap, we have Liatris, you know, this is a limed flower. We have Belza Island, which is green, and this is another line flower. So when you're learning the different shapes of the arrangements, the lily, the hydrangea, roses, those are form type flowers, even the carnations, and they have different sizes. So to make something interesting, you know, pick some different sizes, some different flowers, play with the colors. You know, if you want, get a color wheel, check out how that goes. The tulips, remember, they're in low because they're going to grow. So they should be another inch or 2 inches by the end of the week. We have hydrangeas, and remember, hydrangea in Latin means water. They want a lot of water. So this is an arrangement that I just put my hand in there, and there's not enough water. I'm going to take my little watering can. Going to make sure when you use a basket that you feel for the liner, and then you go to water it. You know, if you just go to water it, you may miss that and get water all over the table. So this is nice. It's nice. It has water. It has foam. We have all the different colors. Pink, like I said, is probably the most popular color for Mother's Day, but you can send any colors that you want. You can use any colors that you want. It's up to your personal preference. So find that out before you send the flowers out, and see what mom or significant other would like, or springtime, or what you like, and just, you know, have fun with it. You know, spring's coming. The gardens are starting. My next segment will be talking about some plants. We have to be a little bit careful about what we're going to be leaving outside. It's still cool at night, so a lot of things can't go out. So we'll be talking about that in our next segment. But this is our arrangement for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It's very fragrant, so this needs to be like in an open, airy type place, so it doesn't get to be too claustrophobic. I can already feel my throat tightening up a little bit from the fragrance. So just be careful if somebody has allergies to have flowers that don't have that much fragrance. So this is our arrangement today. Pinks, purples, whites, a very traditional arrangement, but something fun. And, you know, as the gardens start and things, that you can pick and you can make your own arrangements. Thank you. Okay, we're back. After we just finished our arrangement, I just put it here in the background. And what we're going to do is talk a little bit about plants. Mother's Day is coming up, and usually that's kind of about the busiest time to give plants and flowers and stuff. But once you get the plant and stuff, how do you take care of it, and how do you have it so it's successful throughout the summer? So this is just a nice bright pot of petunias, pretty basic type of thing, but it's grown in a plastic pot, so it's something that's going to need a lot of water. And so when you get one of those hot days in the summer, you need to check in the morning and you need to check at night for the water, you know, and pick it up, see if it's heavy, is another indicator. But anybody that's getting hanging plants for Mother's Day, be careful about the temperatures at night. It may not be warm enough next week to leave them out at night. So if you put them out during the day, you may need to bring them in at night. So I just caution you, we've had some nice weather. We've had some nice warm days back in April, and I know everybody was itching out to start gardening. But we've also had some cold days since then and some snow, and we're not out of the woods quite yet for planting. So just be careful. The hanging baskets are coming out. If you have pansies, the pansies are okay to be outside now, but this certainly isn't. These are petunias. It's very nice right now. We just picked some up. Sandy and I just went to the greenhouse and picked some up this morning. We're going to have them outside, but at night, before we close up, they're going to come in. So remember that. And then, and also, the watering, check the water. These are plants. You start getting really hot and they're going to need more water. And then also, this is something that wants to be, the petunias want to be in a sunny spot. So you don't want to have these in the shade because you want these to continually bloom. And these were nice and bright, some pinks and yellows, a nice color combination. So we have those, and then we also have some mixed hangers. Here's a petunia in the middle. These are a verbena in here, and here's a lobelia on that. And this one can be in a little less sun than the petunias. It can be partially shade. I know the lobelias don't like it super hot. So just, there's tags on the pots. Just read what they like. Again, watch the watering. If it's a hot day and really hot, you may even want to bring them inside for a little bit, because sometimes during the summer, during July or something like that, they can get really, really hot. So just watch it and be careful. The plants are going to want to have water. So, just start to put that on your schedule. That's a nice mixed hanging plant. And then we also have another one. There's nice different color combinations. Here's some purples, some light purples, some purples, some blue lobelia. And again, this one's going to want to be in partial shade. So just, read the instructions, do what they say, and then you'll have a nice opportunity with having success with your plants. Now, everybody asks me now, what can go outside? It's the end of April, and it's cool. It's cool at night. So a lot of the things that are in the cabbage family can go outside. We picked up a few things here. We picked up some strawberries. These can be planted outside now. And then anything that's in the cabbage family, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbages, and then the collards are very popular right now. You can almost tell when you look at them, they look like they're in the broccoli family, cauliflower family. Those things can go outside now. Onions. But anything that's a tomato, cucumber, or pepper, or anything like that, that needs to be planted mid-May, or even if it's staying cold, right around Memorial Day. Memorial Day is kind of the traditional day for planting. So just watch the weather at night. Even though we get one warm day, doesn't mean we can start getting our gardens planted. You can start getting them ready, get the soil ready, get the weeds out, get the rocks out, get ready to plant. But for some plants, it's a little too early to plant. So just be careful as far as what you're planting outside. Be careful of what you're keeping outside. This time of year, we start to get a lot of plants in. Plants to be planted outside and plants for the inside are very popular right now. We just picked up, thankfully there's some offices opening. So I just picked up a few things for some offices that I'm going to be decorating. This is a Monstera. It's in the Philodendron family. This is something that's going to be able to take low light and we will be able to survive in an office building. So, when you're looking to do something for the inside in the offices and things like that, you need to pick things that will survive in low light, like You could never put this in an office and think it was going to survive. It just won't happen. It needs to be, they need to be outside. And actually, I'm not even going to keep them inside here in the flower shop because they need to be outside. We'll bring them in at night. But this is a Monstera, and it's a split leaf. It will start to get holes in the leaves. That's normal. So I kind of picked it because there were some different type of leaves that were coming through. So this is a good plant for indoors, for an office. I'll be finding a new home next week. And then this is a floor plant. You know, anything that's a little bit taller. This is a Dracaena. This is another plant. I see it's a little wobbly in the pot, so I'm just going to bring the soil around the stems. This is another plant that will take low light, another good plant for the office. I know a lot of people like the ficus trees, but you really have to have some light for that type of tree. It's not something that's going to survive in the low light office light of the offices, so just be careful with some of that. And choose some of these other plants for low light. And even in your home, it's nice to have some real plants around because they are helping with our air quality. So just remember, having a few plants at the house is a good thing to have. So we have those. And then we have Aloe Vera. This is a good plant to have at your house. Certainly for cuts and burns, you can just cut that and put that on your cut or your burn, and it will help it not hurt so much. So this is in the succulent family. We were gonna say this is probably a must. I know I have one of the plants in my kitchen, so this is a good plant to have. And then this one's a little different. This is in the Euphorbia family, the same family as the poinsettia. And if you cut these, they'll be a little bit milky. Just so you can see that the stems are a little bit thicker, so they don't need as much water. And the same thing with the aloe vera. It's pretty thick. It's not going to need as much water as, say, our petunias here that are going to be outside in the summer. So just, you know, watch. You have to see what type of plant you have to see how to water. I know people will call me up and say how much water per week. It really depends on what type of plant you have, and really, you know, pick the plant up, see if it's heavy, see if it's light, see if it's a succulent or something. The succulents aren't going to need water for a couple of weeks. So I mean, watch what you're doing as far as that goes, as far as the watering, so you know you can have a successful time with your plants. And I know I check my plants, but I don't water them all on the same day of the week. It all depends on what they need as far as that goes. Another little plant, and we see these around, is the Phalaenopsis orchids. This is a nice gift. It's a nice flowering plant. This is something that will stay in bloom for a while. I know there's another question everybody asks me for house plants. What's a plant that's going to keep on blooming? Well, there's very little in that's very little that will do that. The orchids will stay in bloom for a long time. So if I suggest you want something flowering, you know, pick the orchids or the African violets.
Yep.
African violets will continually bloom in your house if you have the right window. So those are the two that are nice to be continually blooming. Some of the other flowering plants are only going to bloom for a short while, and then they're going to be over. Something interesting I found today was another type of succulent. This was flowering. I picked it up for its flowers, but you can see the leaves are pretty thick. So when I feel this for water, it's not going to need a lot of water. What's nice about the succulents, if that's going to be your first plant, that this is a good plant to have. So this is a good choice, the succulents, and I would suggest having those two in your plant collection. So those are some of the ones that we have. This is a new type of Dracaena. This is another low light plant that does well. I can see some of the tips are kind of a little need to be cut. So I'm going to cut some of the brown off. This was a new color. I haven't seen the yellow and the lime green. This is something, you know, and when you're using different plants for interiors, you know, check the different colorings. You know, there's a lot of new things that are coming out, new plants that are being found. I'm just cleaning this up. We're taking some of the bottom leaves off. Anything that's cut like that, don't be afraid to cut them off and then just clean it up a little bit. But I chose this, you know, this is a Dracaena marginata, but this was a new variety I hadn't seen before. The lime green and the green, usually the common ones are just green. So this is something new, and I chose it because I'm going to be mixing it with some plants that I'm putting in an office next week. So that's kind of why I did that. Clean it up, and then actually even too, when you go to water the plants indoors, if you have a little mister, they'll like that too. So and also gets the dust off the plants. So I would suggest you do something like that. These are also in the Dracaena family, but you can see it's a little bit different style than the one I just showed you. I believe they call this a bird's nest Dracaena. This one stays low. It's also a good plant for low light, and it doesn't need a lot of water. So these are the types of things that I suggest for offices. So you want something real, you don't have something artificial. I don't like artificial plants. I only like artificial for wreaths, but that's my personal opinion as far as that goes. But this is a nice plant. This does well and nice for low light. And we're starting to see a lot of people are getting into plants indoors. We're selling a lot more plants than we have before. And, you know, I will caution you on the peace lily, sandy peace lily. It's right there on the table. I think I talk about these all the time. This is one, is a peace lily. Right now it doesn't have the white blooms on it. This needs a lot of water, okay? This can sit in water if it needs to, whereas other plants can't. And if you ever come home and it's toppled over because it doesn't have enough water. So just put it in the sink and really soak it, and it will eventually come back. But we sell a lot of the peace lilies, but they need to be watered, and they need to be watered a lot. So that's another plant. This is something that we have here at the shop. We're selling a lot of these. This is called the money tree. Again, this is something that needs to be checked for water. Not a lot of water, but a medium amount of water. This is becoming a more and more popular plant to say congratulations or something like that. And this is a money tree. This is extremely popular right now as an indoor plant. And this is an Anthurium. These grow in the tropical regions. This is called an Anthurium. You'll see these in Hawaii. They come in a lot of different colors. But if it's, you know, growing in Hawaii, it's going to need sun, but also likes a little bit of humidity. So if it's in a dry environment, you might start to see the leaves start crinkling up. So this certainly would be good to get a little bit of misting. But this is something that another plant that will last in your house, blooming for a long time. And if you have your green thumb, you might be able to get it to bloom again. But maybe not. So if it doesn't, you have a nice green plant, and that will certainly look nice in your room. So those are some of our plants, some of our ideas. To recap, I will say, you know, especially with Mother's Day coming about with the hanging plants, don't think just one time during the day is going to be okay to water, especially if they're in plastic. If they're in sphagnum moss baskets, they won't dry out as fast, but they dry out very fast here in these plastic containers. So you're going to need to water them a couple of times a day as far as that goes, and watch it. But we sell a lot of those for Mother's Day. It's very popular, but to keep them going, you need to water. Succulents, anything that's in the succulent families, less water. I'm gonna, you know, and they, you know, what's nice about them, and they have different shapes and different things. So you can make a little plantscape within your window, but these need less water. And anything that's like our peace lily, anything like our peace lily, again, lots of water. So each plant has a different watering schedule. So just, you know, and if you happen, you know, like I said, give me a call, ask me, I'll let you know. And if I don't know, I'll let you know I don't know, or I'll look it up on the internet or something like that. But each plant needs a little bit of water as far as that goes. And to recap, so those are our selections of plants that we have. This is our basket that we did for Mother's Day. Certainly you can pick different colors. I just happen to pick pinks and purples because that's the most popular color combination. It has a nice fragrance. Be careful about allergies. If you know, if somebody has allergies, we're not going to put lilies in there. And then also, if you have cats, I know lilies are extremely poisonous to cats. So if you know someone has cats, then maybe we're going to be staying away from the lilies. So, you know, just know that. Know your who you're giving the flowers to, who your friend is, and things like that. And again, if you're cleaning out your house, so you have baskets and you have vases, we'll take them back and we'll give you a free bouquet. We certainly will recycle them. And Sandy, can you get the tabs? And another thing that we do to recycle, and you can just drop them in and come into the shop, is even though we're not at the senior center, we're still collecting tabs for the Shriners Hospital in Springfield. All you have to do is take the tab off your can or cat food or dog food and just bring it in, or, you know, we'll come pick them up. And then once a year, Sandy and I go up to Springfield and deliver them to the hospital. We're waiting right now till they'll take them, but certainly at some point they'll be taking them. So they use the aluminum for money to help the children at the hospital. So that's kind of the recycling things that we do. And anything, like I said, you got a ton of vases you don't know what to do with. I know somebody said to me, oh my goodness, I just dumped them all off at the dump. Bring them back here. We'll give you a nice little spring bouquet. And if we can't use them, I take them, and if they're not usable, I'll throw them out. But if I can't use them, then I take them, send them to the Salvation Army or Savers or something like that. So everything does get recycled as far as that goes. So this, you know, I want to wish you a happy spring. Get out in the garden, see what's growing. There's a lot of things happening. Check it out. Plant a few things for your, excuse me, the lilies are getting to me. Plant a few things for your cutting garden. Have some fun. We're almost over with this pandemic. We're on the hopefully on the mend, and hopefully we'll be back at the Worcester Senior Center next year. So thank you for watching. For you, those are mothers, happy Mother's Day. And thank you to my friend Sandy Beek-Michalak for the videographer in this. We're amateurs, and hopefully you learned something today. And we'll be back next with the next holidays. Thank you.